What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle tonight. My name is Ryan Linkletter, and I am here with Dan Loya. We are talking all the reactions from Week 6, talking about these Monday night football games. Week 7's approaching halfway through the season almost, which is crazy to think about. It has been flying by this year. Dan, let's start off in Atlanta. The Bills scored under 20 points for their first time this year. The Falcons were able to take control of this game with an elite pass rush, and offensively, they did just enough. Bijan Robinson was unbelievable. Drake London was unbelievable, but it felt like Michael Penix at times was a little bit shaky. So, what were your thoughts on this game? And is it time to panic a little bit in Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot, but I guess my initial takeaway is it could have been a lot worse, the score.
Yeah.
It seemed like the Falcons shot themselves in the foot in the foot a lot this game. My biggest thing was the second half, like right before the second half, and that's late in the second quarter. They went for it. Atlanta went for it on
Oh my
4th and 3.
gosh. Yes.
They didn't get it, and I don't understand the call because you're up 21-7. Just kick a field goal. I don't understand the reasoning there. Also, they get the ball again, and 6 seconds left on the clock, and they throw that slant to Drake London, and I like, if you're gonna run, you better score. It's kinda like, I thought of, like, baseball. If you're gonna swing on 3-0, you better hit it out of the
You better hit
ballpark.
a home run.
Yeah, it's like it's just like bad football, and then Raheem Morris got interviewed and was like, "Oh, I don't blame him, he had so much opening." Like, you that coulda cost you the game. They're very lucky, I think, Atlanta, because they just kept, letting the Bills hang around. They couldn't put them away till the end, and, just, yeah, I don't know what they were doing. That's what I put in my notes, that, the end of the second quarter was crazy, but, the Atlanta's defense, they were really
Legit
strong
unit.
tonight. Yeah. Well, what impressed me is, the Bills scored on that, first drive, and they rushed 4 on 3rd down. It was 3rd and 13, and rushed 4, Josh Allen threw a touchdown, and it seemed like the rest of the night they brought the heat. They were bringing the blitz, and the Bills had no answer on offense. So that's a key, takeaway. Atlanta blitzed a lot. They came into the game, highest blitz percentage in the NFL. So that's they stuck true to their guns, and that's why, they pulled it out. So they blitzed a lot, and, they stopped James Cook. In the first quarter, James Cook only had 6 rushing yards. So that's what we discussed throughout the whole week is, you stop James Cook, the Bills are gonna have trouble moving the ball. So that's kind of the secret ingredient. You gotta stop that running game.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that this game was very interesting, and Buffalo came out really strong. The Falcons obviously went down, scored first drive, and it felt like I talked about this heading into this matchup. The Falcons were a sneaky pick. I thought, based on the
Yeah.
Bills' run defense this year, that the Falcons were going to have a nice day. That came to fruition right away when this game started. But it was Drake London that had the bigger day than expected. He was able to exploit zone coverage at such a high level with the Bills, run one of the highest zone coverage rates in football. They were able to move the ball well, but I was impressed. Buffalo, first drive, went down the field, scored just like that. I'm right. All right, this team's going to be able to
Yeah.
compete uh, against one of the top defenses in the NFL. And then the Bills' defense just didn't really maintain momentum throughout the first few drives of this game. They got down quickly, 21-7, after a few stops on the defensive side of the ball. Then it felt like a defensive game from that point on. What happened before halftime is the reason why Sean McDermott's seat is starting to get hot. And it was warm. We talked about this at some point this year, that if Sean McDermott doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, that he's definitely going to be talked about as a potential, fire candidate this year. What I watched today was another reason why Sean McDermott is really on the hot seat right now. I mean, the defensive calls before halftime, you allow, you know, offensively, Josh Allen throws an interception, right? It is what it is. They're trying to make a
Yeah.
play, right?
He's
But
trying to force it,
defensively,
yeah.
you run a soft zone coverage that allows Drake London to get 9 yards and right into field goal range. And then you have 6 seconds left, and you allow an inside slant for Drake London to go out and gain yards, and even allow bad enough coverage in the secondary that he could potentially score a touchdown. Right? That's inexcusable. And obviously, the Falcons weren't able to capitalize on those points, but those two plays were because Sean McDermott called really bad defenses. And we've seen this in the past. 13 seconds is well known. The Bills seem to let up in 2-minute drills at a higher rate than any other team in the NFL, which is very concerning, especially in the big moments in playoff games. In the second half, offensively, the Bills' offense was nowhere to be found. They had one good drive, and it was in large part due to their ground game getting going. When they had
Yeah.
play action working and they were able to roll out their halfbacks or tight ends off of play action, this passing game worked well. But outside of that, they don't have a good collection of receivers or pass catchers. Dalton Kincaid was out in this one. They missed him. They don't have those type of players. And when their offensive line doesn't hold up like it did tonight against an elite Falcons pass rush, right? Josh Allen can't be Superman. It's the same thing we talk about with Patrick Mahomes. When the talent around a great quarterback fails, you get this type of production. Sure, they're always going to be in games. They're always going to have a chance to win, but there's only so much Superman can handle. And Josh Allen had his hands full tonight, did not play his best game by any means, but he was under duress the entire night. There's nobody open down the field. And this was still James Cook averaging 5.2 yards per carry, and they lost this ball game. On the defensive side of the ball, this team is going to struggle against formidable opponents and formidable ground games because what Bijan Robinson did to this team has just been, an eye opener for the rest of the league. This has been happening the entire year. It just hasn't been at this scale where you face the best running back in the NFL and you get exposed like that. And then on the Falcons side, I'll say this, a big negative on my end was the way that Michael Penix played. I thought he had a pretty bad
Yeah.
game today. There were multiple throws that easily could have got Buffalo back in this game and tied it up. There were just dropped interceptions, really bad reads, and him just getting the offense off the field. The only reason this game wasn't a three-score blowout game was Michael Penix continued to struggle. Bijan was absolutely insane today, and a majority of Michael Penix's yards were 5-yard passes to Drake London or Bijan Robinson, and they took it 15, 20 yards after the catch. Michael Penix Jr. is the one thing I am concerned about this Falcons team, besides completely retooled the defense and they already added to a talented offense. This is an elite roster. Like, I think people don't realize how good this Falcons roster is. And if Michael Penix can take steps forward in the right direction instead of playing how he has to start the year, they're a scary team in the playoffs. I don't want to see that pass rush if I am in the playoffs against the Falcons. Now let's talk about the Bills. Two losses now, they're 4-2, but it's two straight. Have to talk about it. What are your thoughts on them going forward right now? And obviously they had a easier schedule to open the season, but played two straight solid teams and now they find two straight losses.
Yeah, I think that's just the story is, I guess the public is, when they look at the team, they're like, "Oh, it's the Bills, it's Josh Allen, he's gonna win every game." But people forget it. This is a team sport, and you got to surround Josh Allen with some more weapons. I think the Bills should be one of those teams trying to add a receiver before the trade deadline here. I think they need another weapon, and one key injury was Josh Palmer. He's supposed to be the veteran receiver on
Yeah,
this team. He got
that was a
injured
big injury.
during the game, so I think that's a big loss because Josh Allen, like throughout training camp, he built a strong connection with him. So you could tell his presence was missed, and that offense is just like we talked about. If they can't get that run game going, they're in trouble right out of the half. When they led a 9 play, 73-yard scoring drive, James Cook had 37 yards right out of the shoot. They got him going, and they were able to move the ball. So it's just concerning. Their offense, they need another weapon, and yeah, their defense, just like you talked about. You can move the ball on this Bills team. There's nobody that scares you. You got, Joey Bosa out there, and he's older now. They need to keep Ed Oliver healthy, but, like, they need a corners. I mean, this team's not built like a championship team. I don't think they just got a like you said, a superhero at quarterback that's gotta carry carry them. And you see here tonight, if, they don't play together, then they're not gonna win.
Yeah, 100%. That is a struggle for Buffalo right now is finding a way, on the offensive side of the ball to be more consistent and push the ball down the field, which is something they're struggling with right now. Josh Allen's always going to be one of the best players on third down in the NFL and give teams headaches, but when it's
Yeah.
third and 10, third and 8, third and 12, it makes it really hard on him to be able to make those plays every time, even though we've seen him do it so many times. And this group of receivers like Khalil Shakir, 3 for
Yeah.
33, Tyrell Shavers had a few catches in garbage time, 3 for 27. Keon Coleman took no step forward this season, 3 for 11. Josh Palmer actually led the team in receiving, had 2 catches for 60 yards. And then Ray Davis had mixed in 19 yards and stuff like that. Like, this is a
Yeah, I
bad group
mean
of receivers. They
I
they
mean,
got
you
to
look
find
at
a
you
way
look
to
at that
add to
group.
that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that group, who scares you? If you're trying to
No
prepare
one,
for the Bills,
absolutely no one.
so I think what teams are gonna start doing is selling out to stop James Cook, and
They
and
they're
dare
gonna
dare
run
those
press. They're gonna
receivers.
run press man coverage and say you're gonna have to beat us, Buffalo, and they'll have a spy on Josh Allen, and
Exactly.
they're gonna find a way, and it's making it hard. And I know Joe Brady's been really good for Buffalo, but this is kind of the
Yeah.
offense they've adopted. It is everybody's going to eat. We're going to spread the ball around. We're going to throw the ball really short, and we're going to run the ball effectively. You stop the run, it kind of makes this offense one dimensional, and they aren't necessarily built to push the ball down the field with this receiver group consistently throughout the game. But my biggest concern for them is on the defensive side of the ball. Their
Yeah,
defense is not good this year, and I think that's safe to say. Their run defense is one of the worst in the NFL, and when they face good teams that have a good run unit, it always keeps them in games. Even the New Orleans game, Kellen Moore had a good run game scheme, and that was a close game up until the wire. Miami Dolphins, same type of thing.
yeah,
Like teams are able to stay in the game with Buffalo right now because they're able to run the ball effectively. And I do think the Bills' pass defense has been pretty good this year, and I'm not going to gripe on that. They had a rough day today at times, tackling and stuff like that, but they've been pretty good. But the run defense is making things really easy for other teams right now. So with Buffalo, they still have one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's always going to make them a automatic team. And they're in the division's getting tougher. The Patriots are better and they have an easier schedule, but I still think it's Buffalo's division to lose. I would not hit the panic button by any means. They're going to head into their bye week. They're going to reset. They're going to regroup. Hopefully, they can get a little bit healthier, and then try
yeah.
to make a stretch here against a much tougher second half schedule. I don't see a world where Buffalo doesn't make the playoffs this year. Obviously, the goal is to win the division, get the 1 seed, all that type of stuff. But I don't know how sold I am that Buffalo is going to be able to do that, especially the 1 seed. I think they'll be fine in the division if they can't stop the run.
Yeah, I'm looking at their stats. They're giving up 146 rush yards per game. Uh, their average rush yards per play is 5.6 yards.
Brutal.
27 explosive runs so far this season. Yeah, they got to improve that. You're
Yeah,
not going to win a championship like that, man. It's way too many yards.
100%. All right, let's move on to the next game here. And this one was an absolute classic to watch. Just back and forward, crazy moments. Bears versus Commanders. Jake Moody revenge game, I guess you can call it, because he got cut by the 49ers, made all the field goals in the world to help the Bears win this game. And the Bears also got revenge for that Hail Mary last year. Dan, what were your thoughts on this game?
My initial impression was, who would have thought that the Bears would outrush Washington on the ground? The
Yeah.
Bears came in with one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL, and DeAndre Swift he turned back the clock. He had a great game, 14 carries, 108 rushing yards, 7.7 clip. I mean, he looked electric out there. You gave him a hole, he ran right through it. And also in the passing game, he had that 55-yard touchdown reception. So I think that's my takeaway is the Bears outgained them. Washington couldn't run, and it seemed like the Bears are coming off a bye, so they had a little break here, and that defense looked pretty good tonight. They were flying to the football. Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, had that group ready to go for Monday night, and that they had 3 takeaways today, and all 3 takeaways ended up in points. So that's huge, man. That's big for a Bears team that their offense is continuing to gel and improve, and uh, if that defense turns into like more a turnover machine, I mean that's the Bears are going to be a good team. They're going to be solid all season.
Yeah, the Bears have been incredibly opportunistic this year on the defensive side of the ball. They're turning teams over at an incredibly high rate. All right. I don't
Uh,
think they're super talented on that side of the ball. It feels like the pass rush is the biggest thing for me. They don't get home, and you're missing your best cornerback right now. And you see in the passing game multiple times on third down, right? Teams are able to exploit that. And Jaden Daniels had 3 touchdowns today over the middle of the field, covering tight ends and running backs, a big problem for this defense. So there's holes there. I think Jalen Johnson returning towards the end of the season will help this team if they're in playoff contention. But the biggest thing with like the Bears side of things is they're winning these games where it's really ugly right now. I don't remember the last time we've seen the Bears win ugly and them come out on the right side of things. That's a credit to what Ben Johnson has, instilled in this team. And despite it being difficult and tough, this team is still continuing to find ways to move the ball down the field, reset when something bad happens, and they're always staying in these games, which is good. On the offensive side of things, it just feels like the Bears right now are still trying to find their identity. Right. This game, it was the run game that was very impressive. DeAndre Swift had a monster game, and their offensive line has been really good in run blocking the entire year, which is great. Right. But DeAndre Swift has been really inconsistent this year. With Caleb,
yeah,
right, it feels like there's always these few handful of plays where you're like, oh man, why is he doing that? Right. He's not super consistent right now. I want to see more of this run game mixed with play action and honestly a little bit more RPOs mixed in the system. I know Ben Johnson's system doesn't rely on a ton of RPOs, but I think that'll help this team gain more momentum down the stretch. And the one biggest gripe with me with Ben Johnson right now is the Bears and the red zone have been really bad this year. They need to find ways to score more touchdowns and not settle for as many field goals. If they aren't settling for these field goals instead of touchdowns off the turnovers, this is a completely different ball game in the final score. So I think as far as that goes, it feels like the Bears are close. They have some games where they can continue to build on their record coming up. And then down the stretch, they'll have their tougher games, which will ultimately determine if they'll be in the playoffs. On the Commanders side of things, though, Dan, like this was a big time loss for this team. It felt like they needed this one, right? I know they're very banged up at the receiver position right now, but they have a really tough schedule the second half of the year. What are your thoughts on them going forward, and what did you see in this matchup?
Yeah, I just thought they'd. I mean, they could have. It seemed like they came out a little flat too compared to Chicago. Just Chicago, it seemed like it had more juice, definitely in the first half. I don't know why Dan Quinn didn't get that team ready to go right out of the gate, but they kind of settled in and they scored a lot more points in the second half. They just couldn't run the ball, and I was shocked. Just like I said, I mean, you saw Ashton Genty 2 weeks ago. He ran for how many yards he did. He looked great,
Yeah,
and the Bears just they nobody could run the ball for Washington. And I'm pull out these stats here. I mean, Krosky and Merritt Bill only had 61 yards, 3.6 average. Jaden Daniels right behind him. He was running a lot, 52 yards. So that's not what they want to do. And then, yeah, it just Debo Samuel, you could tell he was hurt. They relied on him a lot this year, and he only had four catches for 15 yards. So they, yeah, just like you said, they're missing Terry McLaurin. They're missing some other guys, and that's why you saw Luke McCaffrey score touchdowns. Zach Ertz found the end zone. It looks like, yeah, Zach Ertz was their leading receiver today. Six targets, 6 catches, 43 yards. So yeah, I mean they're going to be okay, but yeah, I'm pretty underwhelmed with their offense because I really thought they're going to run the ball more, and then even their defense too. They only had 3 sacks total. Caleb did make some plays with his legs, but, yeah, and then too many turnovers too. That fumble at the end, you can't have that. I know it's raining, but that's how you lose games. You had
yeah,
a chance to put that game away and you fumble it. So that's
yeah.
yeah,
Their upcoming schedule, Dan: Seahawks next week, Lions, and then you kind of have a little bit. Or hold up, sorry, I said that wrong. Cowboys, Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions are their next four, which is a brutal stretch
that's brutal.
of games coming up for them. And then throughout the rest of the year, they get the Eagles twice again. They have a few more division games. You get the Broncos mixed in there. They got a tough schedule the rest of the season. So this Commanders team has to get healthy pretty quickly. Coming up here, if they're going to be making some strides and potentially pushing towards a playoff berth. I think with their offense, obviously they have major injuries right now, and that's kind of preventing this passing game from being a little bit more consistent. But
Yeah,
it's the turnovers. You're right. Like this team continues to find ways to make it easier on opponents to get points, stuff like that. And their defense, while they have been good at times this year, they're not a super talented unit. They're not, very good at cornerback. They have a weak secondary. Bobby Wagner is good against the run, not necessarily good in coverage. Their pass rush has been their strength this year at times, but the Bears offensive line did a really good job of blocking tonight, and the Commanders weren't
yeah,
able to get home. They face the Cowboys next week, who have had a really good offensive line this year. The Chiefs have had a pretty good offensive line this year. Seahawks, same type of story. So if this team is not able to get home against the pass rush, like their defense has plenty of holes to expose. And I'm a little bit worried about the Commanders right now. I do think there's a strong possibility this team could potentially miss the playoffs. You look at the NFC West, the Seahawks, the Rams, the 49ers, three really good teams. The Falcons, another team that won today that looked really good. So you have three teams out of those groupings right now that could be really good. And obviously the NFC North as well. You got to think like the Bears are 3-2 right now. The Packers, the Lions, the Vikings, even who've been in the playoffs last year. There's so many teams that are kind of very close grouped together in the NFC. I think there's a real possibility the Commanders miss out on the playoffs this year. Are you buying into
yeah.
that?
Yeah, no, I mean, we could look back in December, January, and say, "Wow, that they missed the playoffs by 1 game, and this could be it." Like this is a tough loss at home, man. You can't lose this home game in prime time, and especially a conference game too, because I know the tiebreakers. That's how they do it. They do division and then the conference. So yeah, you never want to lose conference games at home, and it could bite them in the butt here later on. Yeah, just turnovers, man. Turnovers, and they had a chance to put that game away. And even like I'm looking at the penalties because I have it in my notes too. The Bears had 9 penalties today.
Yeah,
And,
they
I mean,
the
there was
Commanders
a
won the
touchdown
penalty
taken
battle and
away.
still lost.
Yeah, it's just like, how did they give this game away? I'm looking at the Commanders were 3 for 8 on 3rd down, only 37%. Like, you gotta improve that. Yeah, just turnovers, gotta clean that up. It just didn't seem like they were ready to play tonight, and
Yeah.
it showed in the loss column. They ended up losing the game.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how the Commanders wind up going with this really tough schedule going forward. And then Chicago, we take a look at them, Dan. They've won 3 straight games now. They get the Saints, and then they get the Raiders coming off, or the Ravens, sorry, coming off their bye week. Lamar Jackson's expecting
Yep,
to return in that one. So with them right now, they've won 3 straight. Is the
yep.
time now for this team to make the playoffs, or do you think they still got some ways to go?
Yeah, they have some ways to go. If this defense I tell you, if this defense, looks like that tonight, they're gonna win some more games. Because just heading into it, they couldn't stop anybody. So if their defense can continue to find ways to take away the football, they're gonna win some games. The Saints, that's a winnable game. We all know Baltimore's a winnable game. Cincinnati, New York, they can put on they can win 3 of those games. 3 out of 4. They could do that. They could win all 4. So,
Listen, if they go
it
3-4 in that stretch, like they're sitting pretty at
I
6-3.
mean,
Like
d you don't think they beat the Saints at home? They can do that.
no, I
They
think
beat
they'll lose to the Ravens.
You think they'll lose to Baltimore? They could well, Baltimore can't stop anybody. So I
Well,
know it's a
Baltimore's gonna be healthy in week 8, though, that's the thing. Lamar's gonna be
okay,
back,
I
their
don't
defense started to get guys back last week. Like, their Baltimore is gonna be
they're gonna be
healthier that
desperate.
week, and it's
Okay.
that's where I think Baltimore we're gonna look at Baltimore and be like, "Okay, yeah, Baltimore's Baltimore." I mean, they're not gonna be as, high of a ceiling as they've been, but I think Baltimore at that point will be pretty close to, what they've been at that point. But like
It
down the stretch, they get a Vikings division game. You got Packers twice. You got
tough.
the Lions. Like they have a lot of
Yeah,
division games mixed in there. The Eagles as well.
yeah.
So like they got to be able to take advantage of this 3-4 game stretch here
Yeah,
where
these
they can
next
win
4
those
weeks.
games.
Yeah, these next 4 weeks are crucial because it gets even harder. Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Philly, Green Bay. So what's funny is they could win 4 in a row and then lose 4 in a row just
Lose
like
one.
that.
The
It's
see, the
just
I think the
typical
exciting
Bears.
part though is that you think that Caleb Williams in this offense will be better towards the end of the season as they keep getting used to the system throughout the year. So I think that
Yeah,
part
I
of it
like
with the
it. I
tougher
like it.
schedule has to be a little bit more encouraging. Final thing we'll wrap up with today, the Brian Branch suspension. I think we got to talk about
Uh,
this just a little bit. It's a massive headline right now.
Did you
What
see
are
it?
your thoughts
Were you
on
still there
everything that's
live?
gone down with this?
Were you still there live? Did you catch
No,
that or
I
no?
left. I left like right when they started kneeling.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, like what about it? What do you want to talk about? Just how he shouldn't
I
have done
mostly
that,
want
or
to
he's
talk about
suspended?
like, I mean, yeah. Do you think the suspension's warranted for that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. You can't really do that. You can't be hitting somebody in the face. So yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it's not good. So it's only one game. It's only one game. So you shouldn't be
It
doing
is a
that. I don't
big
know
game
why he
though.
did
Like
that.
the Buccaneers and the Lions could be 2 of the 1 seeds in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah, but
So it
you shouldn't start a fight after the game. So we can't like let that slide.
well,
I know the
I think
NFL
the
lets a lot
interesting
of
part
things
about it
slide.
is that he was complaining about getting bullied, and that's why he felt the need to do it after the game. He said, "I didn't get any help from the refs, and I felt bullied." So
I
he
didn't
he
know
felt
that.
the need that after the game to go out and do that. So I thought that part was interesting
Yeah.
for sure. But
There's yeah, there's a better way to handle it. You don't have to
there
do
is a
that.
better way to handle it, and I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see kind of how the Lions handle it internally as well. I know the league suspended him 1 game, but it was very clear. Like Dan Campbell started his press conference saying, like, "What Brian Branch did, I love him, but I mean that's completely
Yeah, you can't do that.
unacceptable." And like, it's going to be 2 weeks before we see Branch because the Lions had the bye week after the
Okay.
Bucks, and hopefully they can get healthy on that defensive side of the ball. But
Yeah.
massive
That's the
loss
big
for
thing.
them. Massive loss
Yeah,
for
that's the
them
big
next
thing.
week.
It just seemed like they missed a lot of people yesterday. They were missing 2 corners, and then obviously Kirby Joseph was playing on 1 leg, so that's another big loss, and then now they're gonna be out Brian Branch next week. Is that game on the road or, at home for them?
It is. It is at home, which is big.
Okay. Yeah, they can still win it, they just gotta be gritty and run that ball, man. You never count out the Lions,
Can't count
especially with
out
the
the
Bucks too.
Lions.
They're still dealing with injuries as well, so they both got people on the injured list, and it should be a great game next week.
100%. Well, hey, listen, we really appreciate you guys tuning into the Blitz Angle tonight. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for more Blitz Angle content throughout the year. And then me and Dan, we'll catch you guys next time.